We're good.
For both of you, just the emotion of achieving a record of home wins, how does it feel? But obviously you guys have a lot more season left to play. Just how do you manage the emotion of it all?
You can go.
Yeah, I'm just proud of our team. I think this is a great achievement, especially going into conference play. It's just a great motivation and just shows like how far we've come as a team all together.
Yeah, and we're really lucky. Obviously, like our first 2 years here, we didn't even have a gym. We played in La Roche, so just like having this gym built and being able to set that record this year is like super, super cool, and it's really cool, like the environment and the fans that we've been able to have this year.
How was it managing that emotion with just what was in front of you with the game and just making sure you took care of business on the court?
Yeah, I think there was kind of like not a lot of distractions, but it was like, okay, we had the chance to win, to make this like record. It's senior night. This is a huge game going into the tournament. It's midterms week. So I think there was just like a lot of things going on at first. So a lot of our heads were like all over the place, but then like in the third and fourth quarter, we really like locked down. So it was, I was proud of us for focusing and coming back.
With the emotion of senior night, you guys broke the huddle before the game started, all yelling Anaya. What was it like just honoring her, Snasia, and Alyssa's senior night tonight? Either of you?
No, I mean, yeah, emotions are high. Like we've all been together for such a long time, and yeah, we're a family. So knowing these people are leaving is emotional, but we also wanted to play for them, and I think that even though we struggled a little bit in the game, the end result kind of just showed like how much we really wanted this win.
This is for either of you. Maya, you talked about how there was so much all happening at the same time going into this game. Second straight game at home where it goes into the fourth quarter. It's closely contested, but you pull out in the final minutes. You know, what does that say to you guys as a group, being able to buckle down and say, hey, the game is on the line here and still do what you got to do?
Yeah, I think that's one of our main differences from this year and the last. I can't remember the exact number, but like our average loss was by like very low single digits last year because we just couldn't really finish out games. And I think that now that we have a veteran squad, we just have figured out a way to win, especially at home. The energy that like the fans and our families bring us is we really feed off of that, and that's really helped us in the fourth quarters of these games.
PJ, another strong game from you. You had 17 last time out, career high tonight, double-double. What were you seeing inside? I mean, obviously going in, you knew you had the size advantage because of just the roster and the height advantage that you have, but what were you seeing throughout the course of the game that was allowing you to be so successful?
Yeah, well, the height advantage, but also like my teammates having the trust in me and telling me that I need to go inside and go to work, and that's what I focused on, and that's how I was able to be successful tonight.
And this is for both of you because, I mean, PJ, you have 21, Amaya, you step up, and Yanni has 12. Between the three of you, all three of you being able to chip in the paint, 42 paint points. I mean, that's saying a lot as far as your ability to work inside. And that's not counting the guards that were doing well on the dribble drive also.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think opens up the post so much is that we have such great shooters that people can't really help off. And then they trust us. They feed it into the post. And, I mean, our post did a really, really good job finishing today. And, I mean, we told them, like, we can beat them in the post, and we really did.
Now, you're facing a team that was 12 for 28 from behind the arc. It's kind of hard to answer for a team that's shooting 12 threes when they're trying to just every other time down the stretch of shooting it. How important was it to stick to your game and keep doing what you're doing? Because knowing, you know, you have certain advantages, you kept taking it inside the paint, you weren't really getting too frazzled or getting outside the game plan. How important was it to just stick to that particular game down the stretch?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to get down on yourself when you see the ball go in the net so many times from them, like on threes. So just us kind of like believing in ourselves and knowing like, hey, like we just got to get stops. Like we couldn't get down on ourselves after we were down like the whole game pretty much. So just having the confidence knowing like this is not over, like no matter how many threes they hit, like we just got to keep fighting back, and we did that.
This is for both of you. You get the Richmond win, you get this one, you lock down that home program wins record, got a chance to close it out on the road here before going to the conference tournament. You know, what's the mindset going into this with a chance to really end this thing on a high note? That's for either of you.
Yeah, well, the mindset is just keep playing the way we've been playing, not giving up, just fighting hard throughout the whole game, even though, like this game, it wasn't a pretty basketball game, but we kept fighting, and that's what's been keeping us in these games and allowed us to be successful, so.
You guys had 20 assists. You got another high assist effort game for 40 minutes. Just how does that improve upon the connection you guys have built, especially this time of year when you need it the most?
Yeah, I think that just like 20 assists just shows that we were playing as a team. We were getting a lot of people involved, so I think that that just makes it that much more fun to play when everybody's contributing, everybody's sharing the ball. I don't think we have anybody on this team who I would consider selfish, and so all these girls are really fun to play with.
Anything else, anybody? All right, thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Tonight we didn't play very well, and that started really at shoot around. For people that don't know, Duquesne has midterms right now, and as many people know, our kids have very challenging and difficult majors. So at shoot-around today, you could see that their brains were fried, and I was concerned. And so we were still able to come away with a victory. I thought Loyola Chicago played very well and made shots. They typically make about 5 or 6 threes a game, and tonight they made 12, and they were 12 for 28 for about 43%. They did a really nice job of paint-to-kick threes, and credit goes to them for playing a very good basketball game. On our end, you're certainly not – you're happy that you won. You're happy that you won. That's win 14, and that sets the school record for most wins in a season at home. And so we're gonna stay positive with that, and we're gonna enjoy it to midnight, and then tomorrow we'll begin for our next opponent.
How is it, and just keeping the mind fresh when you have all those factors you just mentioned? You have the midterms, you have potential history, you have senior night. There's so much that can distract you, but you have to focus on what's in front of you.
I think for senior night, it was more for me dealing with just all the little off the court stuff that goes along with it, from approving a cake to the script and things like that. It just adds a little bit. And then they gave me a ball today, and I knew that that was happening, but I don't want that to take away from the seniors in their day. I hope that they had a great experience here at Duquesne. They're all 3 exceptional young women. With that being said, I talked to them after the shoot-around and said, look, you got about 2 hours to get your brains right and to relax and recharge as much as possible before we go out there and tip it off. And we didn't have it in the first 2 quarters, but we found a way. We did some things different defensively. We went to the zone. We pressed a little bit. We did a really nice job of feeding the post, but you can't miss that many short shots, whether you're a post player or layups as a guard. And we had 13 or 14 misses in the first 2 quarters, and we probably had close to that in the third and fourth, maybe a little bit less, but way too many shots in the paint that we missed this evening.
In the fourth quarter media timeout, Dan, whatever you said to them must have worked. They had the 3 stops when you guys created separation. Just how important was it just to finish this game and just hold serve and get this history for yourselves?
That's actually what I said. Not those exact words, but I don't normally, I don't know ever, say much about like setting a record in a game situation in a timeout. And there wasn't a lot of correction in that timeout. And I just simply said to him, I said, I want everybody to take a deep breath. I want you to take that deep breath, and I want you to understand, we need to take care of business for the next 4 minutes, and you're going to have your name in a record book. With all the really good basketball teams that we have had here, especially over the last 15, 16 years, your names are going to go in the record book for the most home wins. And I don't know if it did anything, but we won the game. But I wanted to remind them of that. And that's something that I don't normally do. I can't remember ever doing that. But I felt like they needed a little bit of a spark. We played just about everybody and tried to get a spark somewhere, and it just didn't come tonight like we would want to. Precious really was the biggest spark more than anything, because we fed her to the ball and she scored consistently.
You mentioned the 12 to 28 three-point shooting for Loyola and how effective they were, but 42 points in the paint for your team between PJ and her 21 and Yanni and Amaya contributing as well. Just the ability to keep working the ball inside the paint and using that advantage for yourselves, how important was it to try to stick to that game plan despite what Loyola might throw at you?
We thought that they were going to change how they were guarding us, because anytime we got into side pick and roll action and we rolled hard, we had an open post player. And they really didn't change their coverages as we got later into the third quarter, which we were kind of surprised at. But in the first 2 quarters, we didn't roll hard, and our guards didn't find us on the short roll either. And then when we did find anyone in the post, we were short-arming things in the first 2 quarters. And like I told the players, like, they have one post player who's our size. Their other posts are smaller. You don't need to have multiple moves. You just need to go up strong. In the second quarter, Precious actually had a mouse in the house situation where she had their point guard on her, and she literally probably has a foot advantage, and she faced up and decided to do a step through. Why? Just score the ball. And that was one of the things we challenged them at halftime with was, you just need to turn and face up and go right at them. And I thought they did a better job of that in the third and the fourth.
We talked about Precious after the Richmond game over the weekend, and she comes back around here with a career high with a double-double. And for the offensive side, you talked about that as much. On the defensive side, in the second half, she's playing with 3 personal fouls for most of the second half, but she managed to play some really sound defense. Not a lot of blocked shots, but forcing some misses and bad decisions. How important was her defense down the stretch, playing as smart as she did and still forcing stops?
I think that's a very good point. Precious Johnson has played very good defense. Just as well as her offensive game, her defensive game has been really impressive. Last year, the big knock on her was always fouling, and she has done an excellent job of being disciplined and keeping her arms high. She's gotten more blocks and changing of shots with her disciplined approach to on-the-ball defense. I thought she was outstanding defending today, and that all that credit goes to Precious. She's the one that made that change, and it's really improved her game. And she's I think she's an all-conference defensive player. I think she should be on the all-defensive team. We'll see if that happens. We also think Meg should be there. We won 3 of the quarters, and we held them to 14 points in each of those quarters, and we did that with not playing our best. So defensively, by far were we not perfect, but we found that way to win and also guard fairly well.
As the same question for Precious and Maya in the ring here. Your last 2 games, really tightly contested. You pull away in the fourth quarter. You win both, even though you got really good challenges from your opponent. What does it do for the confidence of this team, knowing you're closing the season on the road, first of all, then going into the conference tournament, knowing that you can face challenges and still find ways to overcome adversity?
I think that the kids will forget about this game by practice tomorrow at 5 p.m. And I really do believe that. They'll forget about the record, and they'll be dialed. We're still talking about a group that still has some really hard finals tomorrow. So it's going to be a sense of relief, midterms. It's going to be a sense of relief for them when they get to practice at 5 o'clock tomorrow, because midterms will be over. And so hopefully they'll play free, and they'll have their minds ready to learn a little bit, because St. Joe's is St. Joe's, and they're going to run a ton of different sets, and they're going to run flare screens at you, and they're a very good basketball team. And then we'll hone in and fine-tune our game plan on Friday, and then we'll tip it up on Saturday against a very good St. Joe's team.
With the regular season coming to a close, just how important is it to go on a 3-game win streak? And then also looking forward, how do you think the Dukes match up against some of the better teams in the league, like UMass and Rhode Island?
Right now we're the 12th best conference, I believe, 11th or 12th best conference. We're not going to have an at-large team. It's going to be the automatic qualifier, and that's it. And what we have to understand is that we have to be on our A game as we go later into February and certainly into early March when we go to the tournament. What's that A game? It's playing well. It's finding ways to win when you don't play well, and it's your health, both mentally and physically. And we are healthy. We're in much better shape than we were 2 to 3 weeks ago. And a lot of that credit goes to our training staff. And a lot of that credit goes to our players with being really diligent to their rehab and their correctives. Whatever happens at St. Joe's happens at St. Joe's. But I know when we go to Delaware, we're going to have a team that's hungry, that's dialed in and cohesive, and has its health. And I don't think everyone else in this league has that. In terms of UMass and Rhode Island, I think UMass is an outstanding basketball team, so is Rhode Island. I don't really care about either one of them until we play them. And, we've been in the same situation they are in, where, they're the hunted. And I know what that situation is like. Our kids don't, because they haven't been in that situation, but we used to be the hunted. And right now, with the group that we have, I think it's a good thing that we're the ones that we're going to go out and we're going to go hunt. And we're excited to play in Delaware.
And then Gallinopoulos had 14 first half points and just 6 in the second. So what sort of changed at halftime when it came to guarding her?
I yelled at the kids and, no, I didn't yell at the kids. Hey, look, she's a good player. She's a good player. I mean, she played 40 minutes. She was 3 for 5 from the three-point line. We had a hard time guarding her. I think, we really tried to pressure them early, and we were over-helping. In a sense, our game plan was similar to Richmond in that you had to guard your guard. You had to keep the person in front of you. And we did that without as much pressure against Richmond. We tried to pressure Loyola, and they were able to get in the lane and have paint-to-kick threes, especially in the first 2 quarters. We didn't see that as much in the third and the fourth. But number 12, and I don't know how to say her last name, and I apologize to her. She's a very good basketball player, very good athlete, beautiful stroke, good player. And, she played a good game. And she did it not only against, she did it against Meg, she did it against Nay, she did it against Amaya Hamilton. That's probably the biggest reason why we had some success in the third and fourth quarter against her is we put Amaya on her, and Amaya, with her size and her length, affected her ability to get clean looks. Good shoes. Thank you all for supporting women's basketball. Thank you for being here all year. See ya.